Good evening, blessed people. This is Crown TV, and this is the Doctor's Counsel right here. And I'm your host, Peter Fabius. And tonight we are having an amazing topic, conversation right here. It's not basically an interview per se, but this gonna be, a real conversation about a very critical topic over here. This is HIV and AIDS, and with me right here, I have an amazing personality who is going to introduce himself to us and also help us understand much more about HIV, AIDS, the transmission, the causes, and all those insights that we really want to know. So without much ado, just allow me introduce him. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Thank you so much for creating time for us at the Crown TV. And without much ado, I just want to allow you using this camera to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Thank you so much. It's very humbling to join you tonight to share something about HIV. I'm called Ochieng. I'm a medical practitioner, senior clinician, working with the county government of Siaya, together with the CDC, to manage HIV. As you are aware, that it is a major pandemic that all focuses have been on for the previous several decades. So I have 11 years of experience, having worked under HIV care and treatment. So I welcome this opportunity to discuss with you all that pertains to HIV on any other question.
That's very powerful. Thank you so much, Dr. for creating time for us.
Yes.
But HIV AIDS is a conversation, this is a term that many people have maybe heard about it, and there's a lot of misconception out there about it. But today I'm so privileged to have you on board that we can really talk about this this very serious condition, and also help our viewers out there to understand much more about HIV and AIDS. And maybe first thing first, someone out there may be asking themselves, what do we really mean by this term, HIV and AIDS? What is this? It's a pandemic, of course, within us, but what does it really entail?
Thank you very much. As well, you can realize that we have HIV and then we have AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
So by definition, HIV is a human immunodeficiency virus that is acquired through exchange of an infected. If somebody who has been infected by that virus meets another fluid that is not infected with that virus, there is what is called transmission
Mm-hmm.
of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
But now AIDS, that is a state where you now present with the symptoms
Mm-hmm.
of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have talked about HIV now. AIDS is now the symptoms. Now the moment you start seeing the symptoms around,
Yes.
of AIDS.
Of all the consequences of HIV.
Yes.
Yeah.
How does it go to an extent that now, or how long does it take for one? Let's say, for example, these fluids have been exchanged like tonight.
Yes.
Then how long will it take for one to detect that? Oh, of course, there are transmission of HIV/AIDS in this case.
Okay, you see, there is transmission, and then there are the first symptom.
Mm-hmm.
So the period between the transmission and the first symptoms is always called window period.
Okay.
And during that time, somebody is asymptomatic.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there are several tests, if you do those, for example, those rapid tests, you will not realize, you will not detect that there is indeed transmission.
Mm-hmm.
But there are several tests actually. As you know, that there is also a very serious test called DNA PCR.
Mm-hmm.
Which can detect the DNA of the virus. That is the quickest test.
Mm-hmm.
But several tests that we always have always take with the determine it takes up to 25 days. When you are infected today, it is in the medical journal. The researchers prove that after 25th day, if you test it, you can detect the antibody of that virus.
You've just mentioned something called asymptomatic or something.
Yeah.
What does this really mean?
Asymptomatic simply means that you have the infection, but there are no symptoms. Yeah, in any infection, not necessarily HIV, and you can have been infected by the parasites of malaria, but when you are tested, you are negative.
Yes.
But you have the infection. It means that you are asymptomatic.
Yes.
You are not presenting with any symptom of any infection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, basically talking about transmission, we've talked about, you just told us that, these are exchange of fluids, and therefore the person will be, will be infected.
Yes.
But talk to us about, there are different kinds of, ways of transmission.
Yes, modes of transmission.
Modes of transmission. Can you kindly just briefly talk about them?
Okay, actually there are several myths about modes of transmission of HIV specifically, and I think is there also another good forum to talk about it. There are several myths that people know about HIV, but I thank God for this moment that we can just bring some clarity about the modes of transmission.
Yeah.
Definitely many people knows about sexually when you are transfused by blood, but let me just put this across. By simple definition of mode of transmission of HIV, it simply means that if you get into contact with an infected body fluid, then your body fluid receives the infection. To mean that this infected body fluids, now you can receive them through sexual intercourse, through infected blood transfusion, through the infected body fluids, like somebody has used a sharp needle and then you use it. Other people can say that HIV can be transmitted through sharp objects. No. Or somebody can say that HIV is being transmitted through sexual intercourse. No. If that statement misses an infected body fluid, then that statement is wrong. Yeah. So you must get into contact with an infected body fluid, and this infection specifically we're talking about HIV is when you will receive the infection. Yeah.
So that's very serious. So you are giving us about, also we have the background of about HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
Before we started off the program, you were telling me about something, like when it was realized that this thing is within us.
Yes.
Kindly briefly talk about that before we advance the conversation.
Actually, there is much about the demography of HIV or the statistics about HIV, and until when we reach there, we will not realize the importance of this discussion or the gravity of HIV infection. Or maybe just to take you behind, the most recent demographic data that came out.
Yes.
I'll start with Kenya. That by 2023, 1,377,784 were living with HIV in Kenya. And as you are aware, that is something that keeps on growing. You are sure that it has grown because we are in 2024. This demographic data that was taken in 2023.
Yes.
And in Kenya, we say that 18,743 deaths were HIV related. That is the data that was 18,743 deaths in Kenya by 2022. They were HIV related. You see that. And if I can just move just higher a bit, globally, that is now the face of globally, 85.6 million people have become infected with HIV ever since the start of the epidemic. To mean that 85.6 million people globally has ever been infected. That is the data as per 2023.
85.6 million
people. You see that? And 40.4 million people have died from HIV-related illnesses since the start of the epidemic. To mean that we've had deaths of over 40 million that are HIV related globally. And now to break that down, 39 million people globally were living with HIV by the end of 2022. So out of 39 million, 37.5 were adult and 1.5 or children. So by that alone, you come to realize that it's a very serious topic. And as you are aware, different governments headed by the government of the USA through PEPFAR funding has been funding HIV in the developing countries like even Kenya, and other African countries and other third world countries that are struggling. They are pumping billions of dollars just to manage this pandemic. Yeah.
Basically, talking about the demographic that you've just given, we've witnessed a number of, statistics being given out by the Kenyan government around HIV and AIDS prevalence in this nation. I know you as a medic, maybe you share with our viewers about this and those kind of statistics that we have. Yeah. That basically I see sometimes they talk about Nyanza region. There's Homa Bay. There's with the high burden
counties. Okay. Actually, we have the high burden. They are called high burden counties as far as HIV is being managed. In our country by NASCOP and other non-governmental organizations. These are the counties that the burden, the number of those that are infected with HIV tend to be higher than other counties. And if you look at our demographic data, you realize that the counties around Nyanza majorly, like Siaya County, Homa Bay County, Kisumu County, Migori and other counties, those are majorly the high burden counties. I think these were also propagated by a number of myths that people previously heard about HIV, like things like Chira and all that. And before we realized that actually this is a disease that needed precautions and all that. Several of us, we had a lot of deaths as a result of that. And also there are also other consequences, like many people remaining as orphans and all other consequences that resulted. But as we speak, I thank God a lot. There is enough information that has really awareness and all that has happened. Sensitization. And as we are speaking, actually, it's the rate of transmission is not as high as it was. Though there is also a concern because there is always that trend of moving up the number of infection in these counties. I think because of some teenage pregnancies and all that. Because pregnancies come along with HIV, so like that.
Now, talking about teenage pregnancies, I know this is also associated with HIV and AIDS. How is it like in this region? We're talking about Nyanza region because teenage pregnancies have also been recorded. According to the statistics out there, that it's really high in this other side of the country.
Yes, it's true. Talking about teenage pregnancy, there is a data, even previously when there was the time of COVID-19 pandemic and there was a lockdown, children were not going to school. We recorded the highest number of teenage pregnancies. And just handling teenage pregnancies, it comes hand in hand with information. Information, because if you look at the number of teenage pregnancies in our regions, like even in the rural areas, and you try to compare it also with the teenage pregnancy among those living in urban areas, you tend to realize that in the rural setup, they tend to be very high than the urban setup. So you ask yourself, why? So that comes hand in hand with the information. You see, in urban areas, the young people are informed. They are informed, and in the rural areas, they tend not to be informed as much as in the urban areas. So that one also plays a very important role in terms of teenage pregnancies. And you should see, when it comes to teenage pregnancies, our young people fear pregnancy than HIV. If you tell them
I think that's a very important point that you've just mentioned, and my director is telling me that we are due for a short commercial break, but we are going to come back to that because why is it that our parents, our sisters and our brothers, our sisters out there, they are more afraid of pregnancy than even HIV AIDS. Blessed viewers, this is Crown TV. We'll see you on the other side of this of the program.
Washerati wamo ndani, wasengenyaji na hata wavitini. Prepare the way for the coming of the Messiah.
Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and you will succeed.
Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right commandment is a promise. And this is Crown TV.
Welcome to your favorite show, The Strength of a Woman. This is the show that we shall be involving or bringing on board women, small or big, great and mighty, who have done extraordinary things in our society, in our country, and even beyond the boundaries of this country. I believe that it's going to bless you, it's going to encourage you, it's going to inspire you, and it's going to broaden your mind and your perspective towards each and everything that pertains to women. Right here on Crown TV.
Prepare the way.
Andaeni njia.
This is he.
Huyu ndiye
About whom it is written.
ambaye kwaye imeandikwa. Andaeni njia.
I have seen the coming of the Messiah.
Nimeona kukuja kwa Masihi.
We are talking about mental health. It's okay not to be okay. Wow, amazing. Welcome back. This is the Doctor's Counsel right here on Crown TV, and I'm your host, Peter Fabius, and of course I'm hanging out with an amazing personality, a medic, of course, all the way from Siaya County, working with the county government over there, certified and has I know experience of 11 years, more than 11 years. Is also trying to, you know, give us insights around HIV and AIDS and the stories behind it, the things that we need to know, and much more. So welcome back, and karibu sana daktari. Thank you so much. So we just want to advance this conversation. When we went for that worship break, we were talking about, you know, our sisters, our people around, the ladies around. You said in most cases they fear pregnancy than they do to HIV and AIDS. So how have you been handling these cases?
Thank you so much. Indeed, our young people, they fear pregnancy more than HIV. I think HIV it comes number 2
Yes.
in their priority. And this has been challenging because you see the two comes hand in hand. For example, when they come for contraceptives, you realize that if you ask them, they tell you that they don't want to become pregnant, definitely. But when you ask them about HIV, is when now they remember that there's another consequence
There's another
that
thing
comes
altogether,
around with unprotected sex and all that. So this has been discussion through different forums, and before I come to how we handle that, you see, in their mind, the young people, they are ready to, they see very fast the consequences of teenage pregnancy. That when you become pregnant, when you are still pursuing your education, like in secondary school or primary, you see most of the time you drop from school, most of the time, and then you be at home for some time. Remember, your colleagues are still going on
and
with
the
their education,
stigma around
and
it.
the stigma also around it. Actually, it's even nowadays it's even better, because previously the moment a lady would be recognized as pregnant in high school or primary, they would be sent home until when they deliver, and then they finish it when they can be readmitted back to the school. But it's a trend that we see now is reducing. Now they are allowed even to sit in classes with the pregnancies until they are term, they go deliver, then come back. But you see the consequences that comes around with the pregnancy. That's what they really fear. But with the education, with the information, if they are given right information through the media like this, and also other channels of communication, they are able to grasp that these things come hand in hand. Because they are transmitted almost through the same way. Because when a teenage pregnancy comes in, then behind you first remember that there is HIV, and actually there is what is called triple elimination right now, because there is something called gender-based violence again, that sexual gender-based violence that also comes hand in hand with it. Because when a teenager becomes pregnant, when they come to the hospital, what you think first is test, and when you test, you first test HIV. You see that, and then again what comes to your mind is that this one is a teenager, is in school, is below 18 years. Then gender-based violence again comes. That's why it is called triple. So there are 3 in 1 that comes through one person:
pregnancy, HIV/AIDS, and gender.
And gender-based violence. Yes.
Now, talking about HIV/AIDS, I know we have talked in our in the previous segment that there are so many myths around HIV and AIDS, and more so in the in Nyanza region. So the people sometimes they used to say this is chira, and people used to be ignorant about it. How have you been addressing this as medics, and how far or how much have you achieved?
Okay, thank you so much. You see, we say that information is power. Actually, even with COVID-19 and any other infection, the more we give the right information to the people through any channel, through the media or any other platform and means, the more you give the right information, is the more you are able to first, number one, control the infection. Control the infection. And concerning the question that you have just asked me, you see, HIV came with a lot of myths, even in the bigger part of Nyanza part, because there was a lot of traditions that came along with sexual immorality. And you see, when HIV came, there was, number one, something that was connected with HIV was called chira, which in Luo side, it means that there is something maybe which you did not do right. Taboo. Yes, there's a taboo, there's something that you did not do right according to the culture. And people really believed in that so much until the right information we kept on giving the right information every now and again through every channel until now people believed that truly it is an infection. And
it's a condition that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, sure. And this one really helps a lot. Even now, there are also other myths that just the way when COVID-19 came, some people say that if you take alcohol, then you have already sanitized your digestive system, and any infection will not happen. So this also has always come with HIV. You know, there are other people that believe that if you take herbs, things like herbs or other concoctions, then you are free from HIV, or maybe you will not progress into AIDS part of it. Yeah, so a lot of myths surrounds it, but now I can say that it has reduced significantly. It has reduced significantly, courtesy of the Ministry of Health, the information that is being given through any platform, the media and all that, and even in our places of worship and always every area, every dimension of life, you realize that there is, like for example, there is this issue of PrEP, the drugs that you take, and then for those that if you are a couple, one is HIV positive and another one is HIV negative, there's a drug that HIV negative one can take. It's called PrEP, to just remain negative, and then the other one also can just take ARVs, antiretroviral treatment, highly active antiretroviral treatment, just to suppress the virus, so that the other one remain HIV negative, as that one, the other one, though is HIV positive, but remains suppressed.
Basically talking about, that was going to make my next question about the PrEP and I don't know, the PEP or whatever. Kindly briefly talk about it, because there are a number of us, even myself, I'm a layman in that. I don't understand what PrEP means and what PEP means. Just kindly talk to our viewers around PEP and PrEP.
Okay.
And when is it supposed to be administered?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think talking about PEP or PrEP, those are abbreviations. But starting with PrEP, it is the full. It fully means that it is pre-exposure prophylaxis. Prophylaxis simply means prevention. So pre-exposure to mean that it's a drug that you take before you are exposed to the virus. Before you are exposed. Yes. And then PEP is PEP, that means post-exposure prophylaxis. So it's a drug that you take when you realize that you have been exposed. So there is the formulations. I may not enter into the details of the formulation of non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase and all that formulation of those drugs. But in layman's language, I can just say that there are those drugs. When those drugs, you take the drugs, actually they are antiretroviral treatment, by the way. They are ARVs.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
PrEP and PEP are ARVs. Yeah. But now it depends with the level it attacks the virus. Yeah. There are some that attacks the protein of the virus. There's one that attacks the cell of the cell of the cell membrane of the virus. There are levels, and that's why there's a point you are supposed to be given the one before you are exposed to the virus, so that there is a where it will work, and then there's a time you are given post exposure, that is PEP, because of the level of exposure. So it is a complicated kind of formulation or explanation that maybe if time will allow one time, we can explain to the viewers.
And basically talking about PrEP and PEP, you said one is pre,
yes.
And I understand there are timelines when you are supposed to take it pre-exposure. What are some of the duration, or is it something that you can just take now, get exposed, then you're just good to go, or how? And again, also you can talk to us about how often can someone use this, or there are a number of times you can use it, and then there are limits.
Okay, thank you. It's a little bit elaborated and elaborate a little bit on the time limit. You know, the time limit comes with both.
Yes.
Both PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, and post-exposure prophylaxis. Being that, let me start with PrEP. PrEP is the one that you take before you are exposed. There is two types of PrEP now. If you read the guideline of the HIV guideline that was rolled out in 2023, August, it talks about event-driven PrEP. You know, that one is new. I know many people have not had it. Event-driven PrEP. And also there is lifetime PrEP, which means that is something you are going to take throughout as much as you are exposed. For example, you are a couple. It's a couple that one is living with HIV, another one is HIV negative. So you are exposed for a long time. It's a lifetime exposure. So you will not say that you will take PrEP for some time and then when the risk gets away, you stop. Yeah, so that is a lifetime PrEP. And also event-driven PrEP to mean that when you feel that you are going to be exposed, then there is how you are supposed to take. Like you take 2 tablets 24 hours before exposure, and then after exposure you take again after 24 hours, then after 24 hours, that is 48 hours, another 1 tablet. It is 2 tablets, 1 tablet, 1 tablet. That is called event-driven PrEP. Okay. But there is a lifetime PrEP when you are the risk, you are exposed to the exposure of the risk is continuous. So that is the timeline of PrEP. And also, just before I forget, the PrEP, the lifetime or that PrEP, when you stop it, you don't just wake up and then you stop it today because maybe the risk has been you've gotten away with the risk. After you've stopped the risk, or the risk is stopped, you take it 28 days after. So you continue taking it for 28 more days, and then
without getting exposed again. Or the moment, or you can without getting exposed. So what happens in the in an event whereby you get exposed and you are still in this still under these drugs, the PrEP.
We are talking about the PrEP now. You see, once you get exposed again. You take PrEP because of the exposure. So you can again still count 28 days after the last exposure before you stop. And that's why most of the time you are told that you can consult a medical practitioner before you stop. So much more so the one that introduce you to the medication, because there you pick them from a facility.
So basically, I'm being told that we are due for another break, but I feel so bad because the conversation is really flowing so well. But ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is the Doctor's Counsel right here on Crown TV, and I'm with a very special guest right here, Daktari from Siaya County, and he's also giving us insights around HIV and AIDS. So in case you have any questions, any comments around this, please kindly just inbox, send messages, WhatsApp us, so that we may be able to read them out to him, so that he may also be able to respond. But let's have this very quick worship break, but when we come back, we will advance this conversation.
Welcome to your favorite show, The Strength of a Woman. This is the show that we shall be involving or bringing on board women, small or big, great and mighty, who have done extraordinary things in our society, in our country, and even beyond the boundaries of this country. I believe that it's going to bless you, it's going to encourage you, it's going to inspire you, and it's going to broaden your mind and your perspective towards each and everything that pertains women. Right here on Crown TV.
Washerati wamo ndani, wasengenyaji na hata wabitini. Prepare the way for the coming of the Messiah.
Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and you will succeed.
Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right commandment is a promise. And this is Crown TV.
I have seen the coming of the Messiah.
Welcome back. This is the Doctor's Counsel and my name is Peter Fabius. I hope you're getting more insights, you're getting something out of this program, and I'm telling you it's amazing. It's such a great conversation that we are having right here. So I'm with the doctor here who is helping us with insights around HIV and AIDS, the transmission, the PrEP. He has talked about the PrEP and the PEP. We've learned something about that also, and also teenage pregnancies and all that. Now, doctor, let's say for instance someone comes to your facility. Yes. For the first time they want to get tested.
Yes.
What are the processes? What do you first do?
Oh, thank you so much for this time. Thank you also for the question. Most of the time, there are procedures that has been put in every hospital, every facility that you work in, and that one always starts with what is called triaging. Triaging is where the sick people, any person who works, because you can come to the hospital and you are not sick, you probably want to know your HIV status or COVID-19 or any other condition. But triaging is where you start. It's like a reception in any health facility, that you come, and then when you work there in any facility, there is always a health practitioner that will always receive you, or whether it is a clerk, they'll always receive you. But first of all, in actually all public hospitals, you will find it's called HTS, HIV testing service provider, that will always screen you. So you start by screening all individuals that come into the facility. And that one through what has been put, that's the scope that has been put. They will always know whether you are eligible for testing of HIV or you are not. Actually, that's where all of us will start. It may differ from maybe to a private hospital, because you are aware of stigma that has come up along with HIV. Other people go to private hospital because private hospital, that is not a priority sometimes. But in most of the facilities, you are screened for HIV. Now, even you find that you are eligible for testing, you are tested definitely through counseling after you have been counseled and then you have been taken through. You have been taught about HIV. They access your knowledge about HIV, and then you are tested. And when you are given proper pre-test counseling, then post-test counseling, whichever the result, you will be given a counseling. Whether it's a negative result,
or a
you'll
positive,
be given a counseling, or a positive, you'll be given a counseling. Definitely during the pre-test counseling, you are told that if you are HIV positive, there are 1, 2, 3 things that you will be needed to take, including being enrolled for antiretroviral treatment. So when somebody tests positive, I know even you are aware that you are supposed now to be enrolled for treatment. You are put on lifetime antiretroviral treatment that is able to suppress the virus and then prolong your life as much as it can prolong your life, depending on how you will adhere to the medication and how you will respond also to the medication. But also there is what is called highly active antiretroviral treatment, HAT, that through NASCOP, the national government through NASCOP, and they have established the drugs that if you are put on, the virus can suppress very fast. Then the virus cannot resist it. Also, you can take it for the longest time possible without you developing resistance against the drug. So if you are there well to those treatment, actually your life can be prolonged. Your productivity also can be prolonged, and all that actually it has been a plus for those that are there well to the antiretroviral treatment.
Yes.
And I have to also say that it comes along with also patient education. Actually, it's called patient literacy classes that you start. For example, when I test you today and you turn HIV positive, there is something called test and treat. Actually, we'll start you on treatment today.
Okay.
And if we see that maybe you cannot adhere well, maybe you are not understanding, and maybe on your request that we give you some time, we can give you some time, but not past 2 weeks, not past 14 days. Then we start you on treatment.
Okay.
And if it comes along now with you are given short TCA, short time, short duration to come back, because there is also that education, that time that you are being given. So that literacy for the literacy classes, so that you may have the information. So that when you are there well, then according to the assessment of the doctor or the medical practitioner, then it reaches a time when they even qualify to be given drugs for 3 months without coming to the facility. So these drugs have also done wonders. There's also some drugs like tenofovir, lamivudine, and dolutegravir. That is the main drug, first line medication, has really done wonders through good adherence. It has proved to prolong life of many people. It was a drug that has not been in the market for a long time, but it has come out to be the best drug. That if you are there well with it, it has good suppression. The virus will be suppressed, and then it has low resistance to the virus. The virus, because previously you see there are also other drugs that were being used like nevirapine, Adherence, all those that you get after taking them for some years, like 10 years, a decade, then you develop resistance.
No, you
So you just take them, but
they're not
when you are
helping.
tested, when you are the viral load is taken, it continues to
shoot.
So it forces you to move to the second line drugs like lopinavir and the atazanavir and the rest.
Basically talking about ARVs. What happens to someone who used to take their drugs so well, adhering very well to the drugs, the medication, then all of a sudden they stopped taking it? How do you go about this kind of cases?
Okay, you see, that's why hospital is a system that when you walk into the hospital, actually you will get the counselor that will counsel you and take you through before testing, and then after that one you will move to the second test.
Yes.
Actually, by now we do 2 tests with the first tester. And then another 2 tests with the second tester. Means that if you walk and find me, I will do 2 tests. Like right now we do a determined test. When it turns positive, you do a fast response test. When it turns positive, I confirm you positive. Then I move you to the second tester. That tester again starts afresh. Then test you with a determined. If it turns positive, then repeats a fast response test. If it turns positive, declares you positive. And then in these benches, you are cancelled. Then the third bench, you meet a clinician. Also, will also continue with adherence, and then enroll you and starts you in treatment. And now, there are cases actually which you have said that they just stop taking medication. Number one, if the counseling part was not done right, much more so we stress on the part of pre-test counseling. Because you see somebody can turn positive and then they reject the drugs, and it is not easy.
Because I've seen a situation whereby someone was just well. When I used to be in the village, I saw someone was just well, and this guy, I think at one point he was sick and was taken to the hospital, and it was like, this was a public hospital, he had to be tested, HIV. He had to go through that. Then he was told that he's HIV positive. This guy never lasted. In fact, he died very mysteriously. I think we were being told that it was out of the shock. So talking about the pre-testing counseling being a determinant, you are really right. And this basically, maybe you had something, you want to add something before I shoot my next question.
I wanted to say that you see these processes at all these rooms, all these benches, you are given counseling. Even the second tester counsels you, and most of the time you find that it's adherence counselor. So it's somebody who understands even more than the first tester, that will always make you, give you enough information so that, because the end goal, or after diagnosis and put on treatment, the end goal is suppression. Because when we achieve suppression, then we improve the quality of life. And then also, as at now, also we reduce the infection. Because if somebody suppresses, it is in the medical journals that if somebody suppresses well, they cannot transmit HIV. Either through sexually or vertical transmission, like the mother to the child while in utero, or breastfeeding, or that. So the end product throughout is suppression of the virus.
That's very powerful. I wanted to, I had a question before you jumped into that, but there is, a narrative that is out there that, sometimes someone takes HIV, these ARVs for quite some time, then it reaches a point whereby you take this person to get tested. Maybe you are together. This guy was just doing ARVs for a long period of time. Then maybe they reach a point they want now. Maybe they want to get married. They want to test first and find out. Then you realize that they go to the health facility. This person gets tested, and this other person gets tested. But this one who has been on ARVs turns negative. Is it a myth or is it a reality on the ground?
You see, HIV, the question that you have just asked is a very crucial question, because if you read medical journals and even the guideline, and actually as we are based on the HIV guideline that is being produced after some years, some few years, because of involvement HIV, we get research happens on a daily basis over time, and then there's also new events that come in. So once somebody is infected with HIV, and at facility level, most of the facilities, like level 2 facilities, like dispensaries and health centers, at that point when a patient walks in, the tests that we are able to do, they are called antibody tests. That if I test you right now with aditamin, I'm not testing the virus, I'm testing the antibody against that virus. So if it tests positive, if the antibody is present, we know that the virus is there. You see that? And you see, it is an immune response. Your body, for you to have the antibody against any infection, it is the immune response of your body that if a stranger comes into the system, then the immune system, that is the antibodies,
surprised.
They come out, they are produced. That is the T cells. They are produced. So when there is antibody against that virus, we know that that virus is there, and that's why we certainly start you on treatment. But now, once these antibodies have been produced, they will stay in the body in somebody's lifetime, or just to say until death.
So we say that once positive, forever positive.
It is positive.
Yeah.
So when even if the virus is suppressed, you remember the immune response had already produced your body has produced antibodies. So whether you take ARVs for 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, and then you are tested and with an antibody test, it will always turn
positive.
Okay. You see that. But if it turns negative. There are also several tests. You see, that is not the end
of it all.
There are also the other tests, like the DNA PCR test that now tests the virus, the DNA of the virus itself. That one definitely will still turn HIV positive. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I know this is our last segment, and we are not even taking any other commercial break. But is there something that you really feel like sharing with our viewers out there? Maybe there's a point you really want to put out there that our viewers really need to understand, they really need to know.
Thank you so much. Number one thing that I've worked with in the HIV field for over a decade, and one thing that when we come to the media like this, and then we would like to share with our people, is that we've always have a trend of poor health-seeking behavior towards the male gender. Men does not want to seek. Actually, when they fall sick, they don't want to go to the hospital. They rarely go to the hospital. To the extent that when I'm in my clinic and you see a man coming that is very sick, that person must be very sick, very close to death.
Critically sick.
Because for a man to say that, I want just to go to the hospital, it's very rare. So you realize that definitely that comes hand in hand. Now, when they are diagnosed with HIV, they poorly take medication. They poorly take medication, and actually they always have poor adherence. With medication, and this one comes with I don't know, a lot of responsibilities or what, but health-seeking behavior towards men is quite poor. As a nation, we always score it. We always find it that it's very poor. Then number two, as I wind up with the information that I can give to the public out there, is that we have, as I've shared with you, that there is research that is going on. KEMRI is doing research, and other institutions are doing research about HIV and the drugs and all that. And actually, as you are aware, also they have been working on the vaccine of HIV, even though it always collapses almost at the tail end when they're always inventing. But there is this medication of tenofovir, lamivudine, combination of 3 drugs called tenofovir, lamivudine, and dolutegravir. That is the drug that is being used now as first line. Which I previously had told you that when you take it with good adherence, it sustains life for quite some time. Okay. Yeah, they call it a wonder drug. And you see, it cannot be a wonder drug when you don't take it. Yeah, if you take it from the hospital and then you just put it there, you feel that signs and symptoms have gone. You feel now you are very strong. Then you stop it. Then you see the level of virus replication heightens.
Yeah, it goes up.
It goes up when you are unaware. Okay. And then at that time, when it brings you down, there are opportunistic infections like tuberculosis and any other infection that comes in. And you see, they strike you very hard that you cannot even regain. Okay. Yeah, you cannot even regain. So my advice is that when you have been tested and diagnosed with HIV and you are advised to take your medication, take them promptly according to the information that you have been given by the doctor or the medical practitioner to attain a good separation. By that we'll have a healthy human being, a healthy nation, and a productive nation. Wow. Thank you.
That's very powerful. You know, a long time ago, some years back, we used to test people using our eyes. You look at someone like this and you say, oh, no, don't try. That one is sick. That one is because of sometimes you look at the way the body looks like and you could see. But nowadays things have really changed. So because of the new advancement, the advancement in the medical field, and new drugs being brought into place, and nowadays you can't tell who is sick and who is not sick. In fact, the sick are healthier than those who are not sick. So maybe you have one word for people. I think it's important also to create that awareness that you get tested. And I think maybe there is a young man who wants to get married over there and they are testing with their eyes. Please just give a word to them.
Thank you so much. You brought a very crucial statement that if you look at the sick, those that are HIV infected, we say that they live with HIV. They are not sick. They live with HIV. Okay. Yeah, and those that they don't know their status. You can't say that they are HIV negative because they are not been tested. Yes. But you tend to, there's a statement that you just say that you tend to see that those that are living with HIV, their lives are better than those that have not known their HIV status. That statement is very true. Why? Because I tell my patients, my clients, and even when I do my counseling, that once somebody knows their status and they know that they are HIV positive, they now start living responsibly. Yeah. That's why you see their lives are better than other people.
Oh yeah, they are there to the drugs.
They are there to the drug. They are there to the information that they have been given, and they also are there to like balanced diet.
Yes, even the way they feed.
And even their behavior also.
They become responsible.
They become very responsible. Actually, that's the difference.
Yes.
Yeah. But somebody, if you know that you are HIV negative, you live a careless life. Yes. You see that until the day you are diagnosed with HIV.
Then you shock dawns on you.
Yeah. But now when you have been tested, you are HIV positive. After that shock, you recollect yourself. Yes. And then you start a kind of life. It's called a responsive life. You see that. So you become very responsible. And that's why you tend to see that they are better than other.
Because they are responsive.
Definitely.
Is it really good for our viewers to wait until that moment to become responsive? Or should we start being responsible as early as now?
Good question. Actually, your case is as good as mine. Let us be very responsible. Actually, let us have positive health-seeking behavior. Yeah, and also let us make sure that we get information. You see, most of the time we tend to give information in the media, social media, and television like this, but not enough. And the reason as to why, if you go everywhere, even in the hospital, women are many than men that are coming. So you get women being empowered with the information than men.
And
for example,
they end up dying men.
For example, when a woman conceives, they start going to antenatal clinics. Every month they are in the hospital. When they give birth, every month for the immunization for the child, they are in the hospital every month. And then when the child reaches 2 years or 5 years, sometimes occasionally they will always come for contraceptive and all that. So every time they come, there is an information that they are given that their partner, the male partner, is not given.
Not receiving,
you see that. So at the end of the day, you realize that they become more responsive than the male partner. So the information may be something that I can just encourage my fellow men. Let us develop a positive health-seeking behavior.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, you know, the benchmark now, you being also a pastor and overseer in the ministry of repentance and holiness, it's also good to also talk to them around, you know, sometimes this is flesh.
Yes.
Sometimes you may not be able to fight the flesh very well, but the only way to fight the flesh is through receiving Jesus Christ.
Definitely.
And, you know, transforming you and changing your lifestyle, and, you know, you're living a responsible life. Maybe you can put up that those submissions to them.
Thank you so much, Director. You see, you brought a very, very wonderful and very powerful point. You see, everything starts with God and ends with God.
Yeah,
that
sure.
Even if you die, even leave alone death, when you are created, who created you?
God.
Is God. So He is the beginning and the end. And through your lifetime, after creation, conceived in your mother's womb, given birth, then after that time until now you are an adult, you come to realize that your life began somewhere.
Yes.
He tells Jeremiah that he called him even before he was conceived.
Yes.
Meaning God knew each and every person before you were conceived. You see that? That is the earliest time that any person can never imagine.
Yes.
You see that? So when you are conceived, then you have been given a responsibility. Then when you wake up to the world, you've been given opportunity to live.
Yes.
Then you realize that there is a creator. That you will give an account.
True,
And the time may not allow us even to go through the scriptures that talks about our end. But I can just give you one scripture.
I know. My director is on my head. But now, I know, I've seen you in several occasions giving testimonies of the healed, people who are HIV positive, and then later on, through spiritual intervention, went to the meetings of the mega prophets, got healed. And I know there is a meeting coming up in Nakuru called Meningai 7. Maybe you as an overseer from CIA, just invite them over there. Then I'll give you 1 minute to give your last submissions as we wrap up the program.
Thank you so much. Blessed viewers, I thank God for this opportunity that He has given us. I want to welcome you to the big, mega meeting upcoming in Menengai 7 that the mightiest prophets of the Lord has called. As you have been told, that I'm one of the doctors that have been giving testimonies of the big miracles that is a wonder that God has done in our time, that our patients, our own patients, can come from the meeting of the prophet of God and then request us to retest them, and those that we have their files that we put on medication, that are on medication, when we retest them, they turn to be HIV negative. It is a miracle, it is a wonder that science can never explain, and that's why it is called a miracle. Miracle simply means that there is no word that can explain it. It entirely comes from God. Welcome so much in Menengai 7. It's going to be big, it's going to be great. You will find a battery of doctors there. We are ready to receive you. There's a gate called Gate 1. Make sure that you come through Gate 1. For doctors, you will see doctors there, the media and everybody to capture your state. Even cripples, diseases, all diseases under the sun will be healed. it does not matter your condition. Even from where you are, even when you are in the hospital, we advise you just to put a radio. Then the power of God will just reach you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There is a young lady, there is a young man who is intending to get married.
Yes.
And there is another person somewhere else who is HIV positive.
Yes.
Maybe your last words to them.
My last word is that, there's also several tests, even apart from HIV, that when somebody wants to get married, maybe you've shared with your doctor, you can call your doctor, you can call any medical practitioner. But as per now, what I can just say is that you need to know your HIV status before you get married. You need to do several tests, like syphilis test and a sickle cell test. There are also several tests that maybe if you confirm with your doctor, you can do. All this is just to help you. All this is just to make sure that you live a healthy life. Thank you.
That's very very powerful. I think we call it a wrap, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, for tuning in to the Doctor's Counsel. Today we were privileged to have an amazing medic giving us insights around HIV and AIDS. And on behalf of my technical team, the camera crew, and everyone else who helped us to to have this program right here, I say thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm sorry that I never managed to read all your comments. I didn't read the comments for actually today, and just forgive me for that. Till we meet again next time in our next segment of the Doctor's Counsel. Bye bye for now. My name is Peter Fabius, and I've been with Dr. Elijah all the way from Siaya County, working with the Siaya County government. Bye bye. See you, and God bless you.